I've been waiting my whole life for this one. Orthopedic surgeon and husband for the View host, Sonny Hostin, has been named in a federal lawsuit alleging insurance fraud. She got on television. She run these women. Tell me why she got her husband is named in a lawsuit in insurance fraud, and I'm gonna show you exhibit. Let me say exhibit B. Can you show this to the jury?
Yeah, you're married, Tom. You're married. If your husband's doing something, if he's allegedly doing something like this, you guys would know if your wives were up to some nefarious stuff. But let's just not forget who she is. She's been for years lecturing America about morality, inequality, systemic failures, and look at her track record. How many times does she have to go on in the past 2 months and look at the camera and do a legal apology for all the stuff that she said on the show? And then she also on Trump's win, calling the loss because of uneducated white women that Trump won.
We have to know that this is accused.
All accused. Yeah, all accused. But he's in the RICO. This is a big RICO case that her husband's in there.
Tom,
Sonny Hostin is in trouble, serious trouble. Reports suggest her family is teetering on the edge of financial ruin, and the reason is shocking. Her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, has been arrested in connection with a staggering $450 million RICO fraud case. The same Sonny, who built a reputation by lecturing America on morality and justice, is now facing a scandal that makes her TV debates look like child's play. This isn't just about money, it's about trust, credibility, and the collapse of a carefully crafted image. For years, Sonny has presented herself as a moral compass, never hesitating to lecture America on right and wrong. She spoke about justice, fairness, and equality with conviction.
orthopedic surgeon and husband of the View co-host Sonny Hostin is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases. Wow. Hostin's attorney Daniel Twites denies the allegations, calling the lawsuit a meritless attempt by a near-bankrupt insurance carrier to intimidate doctors and restrict healthcare benefits. The case involves claims that Hostin performs unnecessary surgeries on patients after minor accidents without exploring less invasive treatments, with American Transit citing New York's 1974 no-fault law as contributing to widespread insurance fraud.
But now, her own household is wrapped in accusations of corruption, greed, and betrayal. The irony is impossible to ignore. Dr. Hostin, once celebrated as a skilled orthopedic surgeon, is accused of playing a central role in a fraudulent empire that preyed on patients and insurance companies. According to prosecutors, surgeries were performed not for healing, but for profit, transforming the medical profession into a stage for exploitation. Picture someone recovering from a simple car accident. Instead of being offered safe, non-invasive care, they were allegedly pushed into unnecessary surgeries, all while believing their doctor had their best interests at heart. In reality, their bodies may have been turned into bargaining chips in a financial scheme. The charges are filed under the RICO Act, the very law designed to take down organized crime families. To see it aimed at doctors and medical practices has stunned the public. Nearly 200 names appear in this lawsuit, creating a scandal of unprecedented proportions in the healthcare world. Among those names is Dr. Hostin himself, accused of profiting from procedures that never should have happened. Arthroscopic surgeries, normally considered safe and routine, are now alleged to be weapons of fraud. These procedures, once associated with recovery, are now symbols of betrayal.
The View co-host Sunny Hostin's husband, Emmanuel Hostin, has been accused of federal insurance fraud. According to a new lawsuit obtained by Page Six, the orthopedic surgeon was one of 200 defendants named in one of the biggest racketeer, influence, and corrupt organization cases ever filed in New York. Emmanuel was accused of federal insurance fraud and, quote, getting kickbacks by performing surgery and billing a company that insured taxi companies and Uber and Lyft drivers. According to the documents, he knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services, including arthroscopic surgeries.
One analyst captured the absurdity perfectly, saying it was like paying for a steak dinner, being charged double, and walking away with an empty plate. The scandal is being described not just as fraud, but as an assault on the very trust patients place in doctors. The magnitude of this case is almost impossible to comprehend. Experts say it surpasses some of the mafia cases that once made headlines across New York. Imagine that. A doctor's office alleged to rival organized crime in scale and impact. For Sunny, the consequences could be catastrophic. Rumors of financial collapse swirl around her name, with lawsuits piling up, legal bills mounting, and the possibility of bankruptcy looming. Her once glamorous life seems to be crumbling in plain sight. What makes this even more dramatic is her silence. Normally quick to weigh in on every controversy, Sunny has avoided addressing the scandal that now defines her family. Her absence from the conversation is as loud as any statement. Critics are already calling her a hypocrite. How can someone who built a career on holding others accountable remain quiet when her own husband is accused of running a multi-million-dollar racket? The contradictions are impossible to ignore. Joe Rogan, always ready to pounce on hypocrisy, wasted no time attacking her. On his podcast, he mocked Sunny for her self-righteousness and took aim at The View as a whole, portraying it as a stage for moral posturing rather than truth.
You always say it's always the people that always do the pointing, and it always comes back to them. All right. So when you said this is the largest RICO case ever filed in the state of New York, you guys wrap that around your brain. That's bigger than the mafia case. Like the mafia one was number one. This one takes it over. So he was scamming insurance companies from taxi drivers, Uber drivers, and Lyft drivers. He was performing unnecessary surgeries and then providing fraudulent medical services in exchange for the kickbacks.
He described the show as a rabies-infested henhouse, ridiculing the chaos and absurdity he claims define its tone. His fans roared with laughter, and the clips spread across the internet like wildfire, further damaging Sunny's already fragile reputation. Meanwhile, Sunny's silence continues to fuel speculation. Is she protecting her carefully built brand? Is she too ashamed to speak? Or is she silently standing by her husband, hoping the legal storm will eventually pass? Every day without her voice only deepens the mystery. Her supporters hope she is waiting for the right moment. But her critics believe silence is proof she has no defense. The longer she waits, the more control she loses over the narrative. Inside the courtroom, the battle is only beginning. Prosecutors insist this was no accident or oversight. The defense, however, has struck back hard. Dr. Hostin's attorney, Daniel Thuaitz, has dismissed the allegations as meritless, arguing that American Transit is simply a failing company trying to hide its collapse by dragging doctors down with it. But with 200 defendants named and nearly $500 million at stake, this scandal is far bigger than a single company or a single man. It has become a symbol of corruption in medicine, and it has placed Sunny Hostin under the harshest spotlight of her life.
Guys, this is why we need to seriously have a long, lengthy conversation about healthcare in the United States of America. This is basically it. So Sunny Hostin's husband was basically charged with insurance fraud. What he was doing was doing like fraudulent surgeries and then overcharging the insurance companies for him. This is what this is. So now, of course, he's now being named, along with about 200 other individuals, in a federal RICO charge case, guys.
The accusations read like the script of a crime drama. Prosecutors allege insurance fraud, illegal kickbacks, and a string of unnecessary surgeries performed not for patient care, but for cash. The story unfolding feels less like medicine and more like a gangster film, only this time scalpels replaced pistols and operating rooms replaced dimly lit back alleys. The lawsuit claims Dr. Hostin and dozens of others billed insurance companies for surgeries that patients didn't need. Imagine lying on a surgical table, trusting your doctor with your health, only to later discover you may have been little more than a pawn in a financial con game. That sense of betrayal is what makes these charges so chilling. And the numbers are staggering. This isn't a handful of doctors or a single clinic. It's nearly 200 defendants. The scandal stretches across the medical field like a spreading shadow, with Dr. Hostin's name positioned right in the middle. Hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake. Insurance companies were left footing the bill for procedures that may have been exaggerated, unnecessary, or even fabricated. What patients believed was care may have been transformed into a machine for profit. American Transit Insurance Company, the plaintiff in this case, says it was robbed blind. They claim Dr.
care.
I've been waiting my whole life for this one. Orthopedic surgeon and husband for the View host, Sonny Hostin, has been named in a federal lawsuit alleging insurance fraud. She got on television. She got in. She run these women. Tell me why she got her husband is named in a lawsuit in insurance fraud, and I'm gonna show you exhibit. Let me say exhibit B. Can you show this to the jury? Roll it, Nick.
You know, doctors suffer because of big corporations as well. Doctors that want to do good, like my husband.
Hostin exploited loopholes, performed needless surgeries, and drained the system through arthroscopic operations that looked routine but weren't needed. The surgeries in question, minimally invasive procedures on knees, shoulders, and joints, seemed harmless at first glance. But the lawsuit insists many of them had no medical justification at all. Were patients genuinely suffering, or were they just lined up for a payday? That's the haunting question. The betrayal cuts deep. A doctor's oath is to heal, not to hustle. If these accusations hold true, then every patient who trusted Dr. Hostin may feel deceived, not just by him, but by a system meant to protect them. As the courtroom drama unfolds, prosecutors sharpen their case. They want to prove this wasn't sloppy, record-keeping, or poor judgment. They argue it was an intentional racket, a network of professionals who turned medicine into a racket worthy of mob bosses. The defense, meanwhile, paints a very different picture. Dr. Hostin's attorney insists the real culprits are the insurers themselves. He argues American Transit has long denied claims, cut corners, and squeezed doctors to the breaking point. Now, he says, the company is collapsing and using doctors as scapegoats. It's a bold strategy, but will jurors buy it? That remains the central question. If the allegations are proven, the fallout won't just hit Dr. Hostin, it will crush Sonny's carefully polished image and possibly send her finances spiraling into ruin.
Extra last week, we learned that Sonny's husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, was named in a lawsuit filed by American Transit Insurance Company. He's one of 200 people named in this lawsuit, and they are accusing him of filing fraudulent insurance claims and also getting kickbacks from them. And it's a very serious crime. In fact, it's one of the largest, if not the largest, RICO case in New York's history. And they're seeking $450 $450 million. And Sunny and her husband, they are fighting back. They've hired legal eagle Mark Garagos to help them fight this case, and they're claiming that this is completely baseless.
Her silence is deafening. On The View, she has never shied away from calling out hypocrisy or condemning public figures for their actions. But when it comes to her own family's scandal, she hides behind the curtain. Viewers can't help but notice the contrast. And then came the shocking realization. This is not just another case. It is reportedly the largest RICO filing in the history of New York, bigger than mafia takedowns, bigger than the legendary organized crime trials that once dominated the news. The sheer scale of this scandal is almost beyond belief. Nearly 180 defendants are named in this sweeping case, from physicians and clinics to medical businesses. Prosecutors claim it is a tangled web of deceit, built on greed and orchestrated by trusted professionals who betrayed the very people they swore to help. American Transit insists they were robbed of millions in bogus claims. They argue they paid for surgeries that were either unnecessary or never happened at all. The case they paint is simple. It's like buying a steak dinner, being charged double, and being handed nothing. The defense continues to fight back, flipping the script in dramatic fashion. They argue American Transit is not a victim, but a villain, a crumbling insurance giant that has long exploited patients and doctors alike.
Anna went in a different direction, but I love the fact that, you know, Manny is younger and he's
How much younger is he?
Just a little bit.
He's like 1 year, isn't he? Like a month or a year or 10 years?
5 years. It's more than a year.
Oh.
Anyway, it's not about me. I think.
Oh, no.
I think that it's very helpful that he's handy, and when we travel, I'm not picking up any bags. He's the one that's hefting them overhead. He
Exactly.
throws the garbage out.
Right.
He does the heavy stuff.
Now desperate to cover its tracks, the courtroom has become a battlefield. Each side hurls accusations like daggers: fraud versus survival, corruption versus scapegoating. And with every exchange, the stakes climb higher. Sunny Hostin watches from the sidelines, her silence more deafening than ever. She built her brand on strong opinions and a willingness to confront controversy. Now, when her own credibility is on the line, she disappears into the shadows. Audiences notice. They ask the hard questions. Why does she speak so loudly about everyone else's flaws, but stay quiet about her own? It's a question that lingers in every headline and every online thread. Meanwhile, the scandal is no longer just legal. It is cultural. It has become a story about medicine, trust, hypocrisy, and the collapse of carefully curated reputations. And Sunny sits at the heart of it, whether she chooses to or not. Her future hangs in the balance. If her husband is found guilty, the financial and reputational fallout could be devastating. Bankruptcy whispers grow louder. Advertisers and networks watch closely, uncertain if her image can withstand the storm. Behind closed doors, legal experts admit the case could drag on for years. That means Sunny's silence cannot last forever.
Giuliani shook the tree and a bunch of mobsters fell out, right? This is big stuff. And so, and thank you for bringing that video. It sure is ironic that she's up there. So, but if she didn't really know what was going on, right, which is what she's probably going to say later, oh, I had no idea what my husband and his associates were doing. We'll wait and see what that is. But I think it's pretty freaking ironic.
Yeah.
I have a totally different perspective on this. I don't really know what happened with this. The facts will come out. What I have a problem with is the core of who this woman is. Unlike you, I don't watch The View, bro. All I do is see clips. I know you do.
It's like
twice a day.
Here's all I hear from her. America's violent. America's racist. America's bad. Okay. I challenge you, Sonny, and this is Constantine Kisin actually was saying something about this. Find me a country that's not racist.
Sooner or later, she will be forced to choose, speak out, and risk inflaming the fire, or remain quiet and surrender the narrative to her critics. The internet has already chosen sides. Some argue she should not be punished for her husband's alleged crimes. Others say her silence makes her complicit, especially after years of her calling out others with such intensity. And in the background, Joe Rogan continues his relentless attacks, amplifying the drama with every podcast. His words cut deep, and his reach ensures that the scandal never leaves the public eye. The irony is almost unbearable. Sunny Hostin, once the judge of others, now finds herself judged by the same unforgiving public she once lectured. Every move she makes, or doesn't make, is scrutinized with brutal intensity. This scandal is not just about fraud. It is about betrayal, hypocrisy, and the collapse of trust. It is about how quickly a respected career can unravel when the personal collides with the professional. The Hostin name, once associated only with television debates and courtroom expertise, is now forever tied to one of the largest medical fraud cases New York has ever seen. Whether Dr. Hostin is proven guilty or cleared, the stain of this scandal will never fully fade. For Sunny, the damage is already done. Her credibility, her career, and her financial future hang by a thread. And as the world watches, one truth becomes clear. The storm is far from over. This saga has only just begun. The courtroom battles, the media firestorms, and the cultural fallout ensure that Sunny Hostin's name will remain in headlines for years to come. What started as whispers of fraud has exploded into a scandal of historic proportions, and it shows no signs of slowing down.